Hi, it's gonna be a daily experience video, and I'm gonna share my last 2 days or something. Oh, I just wanted to rest. I had a bit of striving season when I was trying too hard to be with Jesus, and it started to become a burden. When you decide that your whole life is going to be just about the presence, and you're gonna make the most of it. Like you're gonna spend your whole life experiencing Jesus. Um, it sounds spiritual, but there are specific lies that come with that decision. Like when you don't spend that much time with the Lord, or you don't feel like it, you are under pressure because you made this commitment and you want to live up to it, and you can't because it became burdensome, and then you feel bad about it, and you condemn yourself, and you feel frustrated, which is actually the opposite of the presence of God. So it can be hard, and of course it just lies. So you can say that it's a spiritual warfare thing, probably is, but it's more about believing the simple lie that now it's your task to be with God and enjoy Him. Like you can make a work out of it, and it feels terrible, and it robs you of joy, and that's what I experienced. So I came to the conclusion that I just simply don't care. Like it's not that God, I don't care about God. I just don't care about doing anything to experience Him. And I just read books and watched random videos, and like the Joel Osteen video popped up. I never listened to him. Many people told me that he's like some, I don't know, false prophet or something. And I didn't believe it, but I didn't really wanted to find it out whether it's true or not, so I just never watched him. And I checked it out, and it was like a personal prophecy to me. Like it was so personal. Like, oh, God just really touched me, and I was like just watching random videos and just enjoyed going with the flow. And there is such a power in giving up. And you think that it's a bad thing. Like you need to strive and contend. It doesn't work for me. I'm so sorry. Maybe it works for some. And I think it's not a one advice for all thing. Like if you decided to lay your life down and spend your whole life experiencing Jesus, then giving it all up and stop trying is the best thing you can do. If you don't have this mindset of living for the presence, and you didn't come to that decision yet, it's okay, but it's probably helpful for you to decide to spend 10 minutes every day or half an hour every day, even if like the sky splits and the World War III breaks out. Like if you don't your mind is not that used to the presence, then maybe it's helpful just to make a simple decision that you would sit down and listen for 10 minutes every day. At least it helped me in the beginning. But when you came to the point when you, okay, I'm gonna live my whole life doing that, and I'm gonna make the most of it, and I'm gonna give up my whole life for that, then it probably helps you to give up the burden of trying to make yourself feel God and feel close to God, and just enjoy going with the flow. So just watching random videos and reading books. I just studied a bit of church history now, and the people who we're glowing and levitating and going supernatural fasts for years and going on without food for years and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, that's the fun stuff. Yeah, I just enjoyed it. That I don't need to feel something. And the funny thing is that by letting go of that need of feeling a specific thing or doing something in the presence of God, for the presence of God, or like have any manifestation of it, like including feeling love for God or any basic thing, I just started to feel so free. I just started to enjoy life like extreme. Like I started to become like a little child, and I always, we just made it a cliche that, oh, born again experience, and no one knows what it means, but we just use it as a great slogan or something. But that's exactly what I felt. Like, I'm so innocent. I just get excited about everything. Like, I get excited. I started to get excited about like cooking food or going to the grocery store or drinking a tea, and it's just very simple things. Like, I was so excited, I felt like jumping. I was jumping up and down just by the thought that I'm gonna read a book that afternoon. Like, my little sister is like that. Like, I give something very cheap and absolutely worthless stuff, and she's so excited. She jumps up and down for minutes, and I always laugh at her. But in the depths of my soul, I always know that there's something of heaven in that, and maybe that's gonna reach me at some point. And that's what happened to me yesterday. I just started to enjoy silly things. I went out to the city. It is beautifully decorated for Christmas, and it's still on. So I just watched the beautiful lights, and I enjoyed like going out with Jesus. And I wasn't always aware of him. I just enjoyed living with him, but I wasn't always like thinking that, oh, Jesus is here. There's this Bible verse that he came to give us life more abundantly. It's not just like that God gives me like one more than 2 pairs of socks. It's just not just that he takes care of me. It's also about like having the supernatural joy in the most basic things. Like, I had the cheapest sandwich in Hungary. Like, you probably, I don't know how to say it in English, but it's the cheapest thing. That's what you eat when you are homeless. No, that's what I ate today, and I had such a joy in it. Like, I wanted to eat it. Like, I was so excited. I'm gonna make this sandwich, I'm gonna eat it, and it's gonna be so fun. And it makes no sense. So what I'm telling you is just ridiculous. But God can make alive and make the source of joy anything. So the fact that we live in heaven and on earth at the same time means that you can get raptured anytime, and you can have heavenly visions, and but it also means that you can enjoy preparing your meal like crazy. Like, you can have more joy in your simple day than someone else on the most expensive holiday. just because the presence of God makes it so exciting and enjoyable. So sometimes I think that living in heaven means that, you know, I don't move for days and I'm in some ecstasy or something, which never happened to me. That I always have just visions, but I had a season when I spent like days in the presence and not doing anything else. And I thought, like, if I learn to walk with God, like, that's what I'm gonna do all the time. And it can be. I'm still hoping for that. But He also means by giving us more abundant lives that He just gives Himself to anything we do and makes it an ecstatic joy. Yeah. So it's great to get rid of this expectations of how to experience God and what to feel and how many hours and all that. If it's a fruit, like if it comes naturally, then it's great and cherish it and enjoy it. But if it becomes a burden, even if a little bit, just give it up. And that's what I would tell to myself if I could. I have gone these rabbit trails so many times. I'm tired of it. Yeah. I sometimes even criticize in my mind others who don't strive to be in the presence. Like, that's my life goal. How stupid can you be not to waste your time on Jesus? Like, it's the best thing you can do, and you're so silly, you're doing something else. That's what I felt many times. And there was a sense of like, I knew how valuable the presence is. Partly that was the case. The other half of this condemnation was, I live under this burden and you need to. This Bible verse that don't you shall not judge so that you won't be judged means also that, like, if you have an expectation towards someone else, you need to stop and check it out whether you live under the pressure of it yourself, because most likely you do. Like, if something offends you in someone else, it's not your problem. Your problem is that you have this standard set up for everyone, including yourself, and you live under the burden of it. So if I'm offended that other Christians don't spend their whole days in the presence, sounds very spiritual, but it also means that if I think they are silly not doing the same thing I do, it means that I'm doing it because I took up the responsibility and burden of it. I don't say that you should really analyze yourself, but if you are offended at someone else, you can check it out whether you suffer under your own judgment, because it's better to get rid of it and realize, like, whoa, wow, like, there's no need for anything. When you start experiencing that, you experience him for the fun of it, because you love him and you enjoy him and you sense him more, and it feels great. And after a while, you take up the burden of it. And it's a special dead end street for someone who lays their life down for God. So if you are not interested in the presence, if you probably won't be facing this lie of the enemy. But you think you're better because you actually have this mindset of valuing the presence, but actually you don't experience it because you strive for it just as much as someone who is not interested in it. Actually, you're on the very same level of experience, no presence. So actually, the thing you judge the other one for is the very thing you also experience because of your striving and because of your condemnation, and that is a whole spiral down. Yeah. It's so free. It's so easy to get rid of it. You just realize it. And, oh, wow, I don't need to. Okay. So don't like, oh, how can I get rid of it? It's that simple, and then you're free. Because you are free. You have always been free from that. You just started to believe that you need to feel something, you need to do something, and all that. So yeah, I just watched random videos. Sometimes I even feel the presence of cat videos. It's like flowing with the river of God, and you don't try to like swim against it, but you also don't try to compete it and be faster than it. You also don't try to stand and resist the waves. You just flow in the very same pace, and you just let yourself be taken. And yeah, sometimes I just watch random videos on YouTube, and I find myself receiving the best message and reading random books, and God just talks to me, and I need to stop and talk through a sentence or a paragraph. Actually, it's so much fun to read a book when you just stop and you talk about it with God. It feels so great. He has awesome thoughts on what you read. For a long time, I only did it with the Bible, and now I'm doing it with most of the books, like even with novels. Like, he has great thoughts on any kind of book, and you can make the source of revelation anything, like anything in your life. Yeah. So I just started to like have songs bubbling up in the inside of me without wanting it, without having any intention. Like, my subconscious started to go with the flow. And it was so great. So if your mind is kind of used to the presence, and it's not levels or being a VIP Christian or nothing like that. It's just if you are used to something, you just do it automatically. So if you lived in a dormitory, you can sleep while others are jumping up and down and replacing furnitures and things like that, because you just train yourself so much. So that's the same with the presence of God. Like if your mind is wired that way, you should actually stop the trying and stop all your efforts and just go with the flow, because you are addicted enough to go the right direction when you let it go. Like you just go with the flow and you end up going the right direction because you are already desiring the things of God, and you're when you let it go, you go where your instincts go, but your instincts are now holy, so you can follow them. Of course, if you're suicidal or depressed, or you shouldn't listen to your instincts, because maybe you end up doing something harmful. So this advice goes to people who are kind of used to the presence. Yeah, there are so many rabbit trails in this video. It's the worst composed video ever. I just wanted to share my last 2 days, but I just ended up talking about different stuff. I hope it helps you. That today I ended up praying with my Catholic friends. They are great drinking buddies. And I slept like half an hour during the silent prayer. And I didn't care. Like, I have no burden. I don't need to make things happen. I don't need to pray and act like a minister or something. I don't need to live up to my own expectations, which is the worst. And we worshipped, and sometimes I felt like God is in some song, and then I was singing, but I wasn't like clinging to anything. That's the best thing about this last 2 days, that even if something happens and there is a song coming up and there is a feeling of like I should do that, I don't resist it, but I also don't cling to it. Like I hold it in with open hands. Like as long as I feel like the stream is taking me there, then I'm heading there. But as soon as I feel like it's over and then there's another phase, then it's fine. And if there's a phase of like feeling nothing or sensing nothing, then it's completely fine. I don't need to keep a manifestation going or a feeling going. Like I don't need to grab something and hold on to it. Like anything I experience, I can release it, not throwing it away, but also not putting effort into keeping it. Yeah, so I had a great conversation. I just gave up trying to be spiritual. It was so liberating. Oh my god. Not that I ever like faked it. It was the most authentic thing on my part. Like I wanted to do right. But it was a false responsibility. So I just came home and I was so happy for my hot chocolate and this song. I just couldn't stop singing. I love your presence. It's an old battle song. And At least I know this song from them. And it was so great. Yesterday I listened to this song like over and over again, like the whole afternoon, because I felt like to. But I also, when I felt like, oh, it starts to get boring, I just, oh, okay, I'm free to stop it. I don't need to make a 2 hour like worship set just because I feel in a specific move of God on that song. Like, oh, I don't need to grab anything. I'm free. It felt so good. Yeah, so that's what I'm learning at this point, like how to have the intent in my heart to live my whole life for God and in God and of God, and how not to do anything for it. Like how to have the simple intention and let God do it and fulfill what this intention is for. Yeah, that's what basically is going on, and there's so much joy in giving it all up and enjoy Him in whatever. I hope this video meant anything to you. If it doesn't, there are multiple reasons. Number one is that I wasn't really good at putting sensible sentences together. The other reasons can be that you've never experienced God that way, or yeah. So so you can have this desire like, oh, I want that, but don't make a rule that you need to like experience the very same thing. Sorry for rambling. Love you guys, and you can share with me your own experiences. Maybe you are more trained on giving up and going with the flow. God bless you guys.